Let me tell you something, ladies, a man's greeting is never just a greeting. See, men are simple, but we are intentional. When a man greets you in a certain way, he's telling you something without saying a single word. You might think it's just A, but it ain't just A. It's how he says it when he says it, and how he looks at you when he says it. A man's greeting shows intention, not just manners, and that is something many people overlook. You see, politeness is common, but intentional energy is rare. When a man greets you in a way that feels different, warmer, more focused, more present, that is not accidental behavior. Men are naturally selective with emotional effort. They may be respectful to many people, but they become intentional with the woman who captures their attention. The difference lives in the details, the tone of his voice, the timing of his greeting, the way he looks at you before he even says a word. That moment carries meaning. A man who is interested does not greet you mechanically. It never feels routine. Even if the words are simple, the feeling behind them is not. He might say the same hey. Everyone else says, but his version carries presence. He pauses. He looks. He reacts. That reaction is intention revealing itself in real time. Men don't perform emotional presence without reason. Presence is focus, and focus is a form of investment. Intention also shows up in priority. Notice how quickly he acknowledges you. A man who is drawn to you does not delay that moment. Even in a busy room, his awareness finds you fast. It's almost automatic. This is not something he plans consciously. It happens because interest directs attention. Where a man's attention goes, his intention follows. When you matter, recognition becomes immediate. Another layer of intention is the emotional shift. A greeting from an interested man often carries a subtle lift in energy. His voice may soften, or it may become more animated. Either way, it changes. Human beings naturally adjust their emotional tone around people who affect them. Men are no different, even if they try to appear composed. That slight change is honesty slipping through behavior. Eye contact is another powerful signal of intention. A casual greeting often passes quickly, but intentional greetings linger for a second longer. That extra second is not random. It reflects curiosity, appreciation, and connection. When a man holds that moment, he is not just acknowledging your presence, he is experiencing it. This is where manners and an interest begins. Intention also appears in consistency. One warm greeting could be politeness. Repeated warm greetings create a pattern. Patterns reveal truth because they require effort over time. Men do not maintain intentional behavior without emotional motivation. If the warmth stays, if the attentiveness repeats, if the recognition remains strong, that greeting becomes a quiet statement of interest. There is also awareness in intentional greetings. A man who cares notices changes. He notices your mood, your energy, small differences in your appearance. That awareness often shows up immediately in the way he greets you. It might be a softer tone when you seem tired, a brighter energy when you seem happy, or a question that shows he is paying attention beyond the surface. This is not performance, it is emotional observation. What makes intention powerful is that it happens before words of confession. Many men communicate interest through behavior long before they verbalize it. The greeting becomes one of the safest ways to express attention without risk. It allows him to connect while protecting vulnerability. Yet the meaning is still there for anyone willing to notice. A greeting filled with intention is a small window into a man's internal world. It shows where his focus naturally goes, where his emotional energy flows, and who occupies his thoughts without effort. When a man greets you with presence, consistency, awareness, and emotional shift, that moment stops being simple manners. It becomes a signal, quiet, subtle, but deeply honest, Consistency in his greetings reveals real interest, because consistency is something men do not fake for long. Anyone can show attention once. Anyone can have a good day and greet you warmly in a single moment. But when a man shows the same energy every time he sees you, that is no longer coincidence. That is intention repeating itself. Repetition requires motivation, and motivation comes from emotional interest. A man who is genuinely interested develops patterns without realizing it. You will notice he greets you first, or he makes sure he does not miss the moment when you arrive. Even in situations where he is distracted, busy, or surrounded by other people, that small act of greeting you remains. Consistency like that is not about politeness, it is about priority. People naturally repeat what matters to them. Consistency also removes confusion. Mixed signals usually come from inconsistent behavior. But when a man greets you with the same warmth, the same attention, and the same presence across different days and different moods, it reveals stability in how he feels. Feelings that are temporary create random behavior. Feelings that are real create predictable behavior. Predictable warmth is one of the clearest emotional signals a man gives. Another important part of consistency is effort without reward. If he continues greeting you warmly without receiving obvious validation, that says a lot. Men are very aware of where they invest effort. When effort continues even without immediate results, it means the motivation is internal. He wants that moment. He values that connection. The greeting itself becomes meaningful to him. Consistency shows emotional comfort too. A man who is unsure may hesitate, sometimes pull back, or become distant randomly. But a man who feels drawn to you will naturally return to the same behavior. His greetings become familiar, almost automatic. This familiarity is not boredom, it is emotional attachment forming through repeated small interactions. Humans bond through repetition, not grand gestures. You may also notice that his consistency survives circumstances. Bad days, stress, distractions, yet his greeting toward you still carries softness or attention. That does not mean he is always energetic, but the intention remains visible even when the energy changes. Real interest adapts rather than disappears. That is what makes consistent greetings powerful evidence of genuine feelings. Consistency also builds emotional safety. When a man repeatedly acknowledges you in a warm way, he is slowly creating a reliable connection. Reliability is one of the foundations of attraction because it signals trustworthiness. A greeting may seem small, but repeated recognition tells you that your presence is valued. It shows that you are not invisible in his world. There is also courage hidden inside consistency. Many men struggle to express direct feelings early on, so they rely on behavior that feels low risk. Greeting you consistently becomes a way to maintain connection while gathering confidence. Each repeated interaction reduces emotional distance. Over time, that simple habit becomes the bridge between silent interest and spoken intention. Consistency reveals focus as well. Life presents many distractions, many people, many shifting priorities. When a man repeatedly directs attention toward the same person, that focus is meaningful. Attention is limited, and consistent attention signals choice. He may not verbalize that choice yet, but his behavior shows it clearly. What makes consistent greetings so revealing is that they are difficult to fake long term. Performance fades, but genuine interest sustains itself naturally. When warmth repeats without pressure, when attention returns without reminders, and when recognition becomes a habit, the greeting stops being a social routine. It becomes a quiet reflection of emotional investment growing stronger with time. His body language speaks louder than his words because the body rarely hides what the heart feels. A man can control his sentences. He can choose careful words. He can even pretend indifference, but his physical reactions often reveal the truth before he realizes it. When a man is crazy about you, his body begins to communicate interest in subtle, repeated ways that feel natural rather than forced. One of the clearest signs appears in orientation. When a man turns his whole body toward you during a greeting, that movement signals focus. People naturally face what matters to them. If his feet, shoulders, and attention align in your direction, it shows presence. Presence is not just about being physically near someone. It is about being mentally engaged in that moment. Body orientation is one of the most honest indicators of that engagement. Eye contact carries powerful emotional information. A man who feels something will hold eye contact slightly longer, not in an intense or uncomfortable way, but in a curious, attentive way. That extra second often reveals admiration, interest, or fascination. Even shy men display this pattern. They may look away quickly, but they look back again. That repeated visual connection is body language expressing what words hesitate to say. There is also the natural lean. When a man leans toward you while greeting you, even subtly, it shows a desire to reduce distance. Humans lean toward connection and lean away from disinterest. This movement is often unconscious. He may step closer, angle his head, or pause near you longer than necessary. These small physical adjustments signal that your presence affects him. Facial expressions are another strong indicator. A genuine smile appears before the greeting itself. It shows in the eyes, not just the lips. When a man's expression changes the moment he notices you, that reaction is emotional, not social. The body responds faster than the mind can filter behavior, which is why that instant shift is so revealing. It is not planned, it is felt. Nervous gestures can also signal strong interest. Many people assume confidence always looks smooth, but attraction often creates small signs of nervous energy. He may adjust his posture, fix his clothing, touch his face, or become slightly more animated. These behaviors show self-awareness increasing because your presence suddenly matters more. The body reacts when someone important enters the space. Mirroring is another powerful body language cue. When a man subconsciously mirrors your posture, tone, or pace, it reflects connection forming. Humans mirror people they feel aligned with. If you smile and he smiles, if you lean and he leans, if your energy shifts and his follows, that synchronization is emotional communication happening without discussion. Space awareness also changes. A man who is drawn to you becomes more aware of physical distance. He may position himself closer in group settings, stand where interaction is easier, or delay leaving after greeting you. This is not random positioning, it is proximity seeking. The body moves toward what the mind values. Even silence carries body language. A man who stays present physically, maintains attention, and avoids turning away quickly is showing investment through stillness. Stillness can be just as expressive as movement because it signals that he is comfortable being in your presence without rushing the moment. What makes body language powerful is that it is difficult to control consistently. Words can be chosen, but physical reactions repeat naturally when emotions are real. When orientation, eye contact, proximity, facial expression, and subtle nervous energy appear together, they create a clear pattern. That pattern reveals that his interest is not only spoken, it is physically experienced every time he sees you. He remembers small details when he greets you, and that is one of the strongest signs that his interest goes beyond surface attraction. Memory is connected to attention, and attention is directed by emotional importance. A man does not store small, specific information about someone unless that person occupies space in his thoughts. When those details appear during a greeting, It shows that your presence is not temporary in his mind, it is ongoing. Small details can be anything, something you mentioned casually, a plan you talked about, a mood you were in, or even a minor change in your appearance. What matters is not the size of the detail, but the fact that he noticed it and kept it. When a man brings up those things naturally while greeting you, he is showing that he listens beyond the moment. Listening like that requires interest because it involves mental effort after the conversation ends. Remembering details also creates personalization. A general greeting is polite, but a personalized greeting is intentional. If he asks about something specific to you, it means he separates you from everyone else in his mind. You are not part of the crowd. You are an individual experience. That shift is important because attraction often begins when someone stops seeing you generally and starts seeing you specifically. This behavior reveals emotional curiosity. When a man remembers small things, it shows he wants to understand you, not just interact with you. Curiosity is a core component of deep interest. It means he is paying attention to patterns, preferences, and changes. Even simple questions like remembering your favorite drink, a stressful day you mentioned, or something you were excited about indicate that he is mentally following your story. There is also care hidden inside remembered details. Care does not always appear as big gestures. Often it appears as awareness. If he adjusts his greeting based on something he knows about your day or your mood, that shows emotional sensitivity. Sensitivity requires observation, and observation requires attention over time. These layers turn a simple greeting into a moment of connection. Remembering details also means you remain present in his mind when you are not physically there. That is what makes it meaningful. People forget what does not matter to them. When details stay, it suggests repeated mental recall. He may replay conversations, think about what you said, or anticipate asking you about it later. This quiet reflection is often invisible, but it reveals genuine interest growing internally. Another important aspect is consistency in those remembered details. If he repeatedly recalls small things across different interactions, it shows this is not a one-time effort to impress you. It becomes a pattern of attentiveness. Patterns are powerful because they show authenticity. Real interest sustains attention naturally without forcing memory. This behavior also builds emotional closeness. When someone remembers small parts of your life, you feel seen. Feeling seen creates comfort, and comfort strengthens connection. A man who understands this, even unconsciously, will continue paying attention because he values the bond forming between you. The greeting becomes a place where that bond is reinforced. There is intention in timing as well. Bringing up a detail during a greeting shows eagerness to reconnect with your world quickly. It signals that he has been holding that thought until the next time he sees you. That anticipation reflects emotional investment because it means interaction with you matters beyond convenience. Remember, details transform ordinary interactions into meaningful ones. They show that your words are not disappearing after they are spoken. They are being stored, revisited, and used as bridges for future connection. When a man greets you with awareness of the small things that make you you, his behavior reveals a level of attention that rarely exists without genuine emotional interest growing beneath the surface. His energy changes when you enter the room, and that shift is one of the most honest emotional signals a man can give. Energy is difficult to control because it happens before conscious thought catches up. A man may try to appear calm, neutral, or unaffected, but when someone matters to him, his internal state reacts instantly. That reaction often shows up the moment he notices you, even if he says nothing at all. You might see it in the way he becomes more alert. His posture adjusts, his attention redirects, and his awareness sharpens. It is almost as if the environment fades slightly and you become the focal point. This is not something he plans. Human attention naturally moves toward emotional significance. When his energy shifts, it reflects that your presence carries weight in his internal world. Sometimes the change appears as increased brightness. He may smile more easily, speak with more animation, or become more engaged in conversation after you arrive. The difference might be subtle, but it is noticeable over time. Emotional energy tends to rise around people who create excitement or comfort. That lift is a quiet sign that your presence positively affects his mood. In other cases, the shift shows as nervous energy. Not all interest looks confident. Attraction often creates awareness of self, which can lead to small signs of tension, adjusting posture, speaking slightly differently, or becoming more expressive than usual. These behaviors are not weaknesses. They are indicators that he cares about how he appears in your presence. People rarely become self-aware around someone who does not matter to them. Energy shifts also appear in attention patterns. When you enter, his focus may return to you repeatedly, even if he is engaged in other conversations. He might glance in your direction, listen more carefully when you speak, or position himself where interaction becomes easier. This is not always obvious in a single moment, but repeated observation reveals the pattern. Attention drifting back to the same person signals emotional pull. Another important sign is emotional responsiveness. A man whose energy changes because of you reacts to your mood. If you seem happy, his energy lifts. If you seem quiet, his tone may soften. This adjustment shows emotional attunement, meaning he is not only aware of your presence, but sensitive to your state. Emotional attunement develops when someone matters enough to influence how we behave. You may also notice that conversations feel different when you are present. He might become more engaged, more humorous, or more expressive than he is with others. The environment has not changed, your presence has. People often reveal more of their personality around someone they are drawn to because attraction creates motivation to connect. That motivation fuels the energy shift. There is also anticipation hidden inside this behavior. Sometimes the change begins before interaction even happens. The moment he notices you, something activates curiosity, excitement, or focus. Anticipation means he values the possibility of connection, not just the connection itself. That internal preparation reflects emotional investment growing over time. Energy shifts are especially meaningful because they are consistent across different contexts. Whether he is tired, busy, or distracted, the reaction still appears in some form. It may be quieter on certain days, but it does not disappear. Real emotional influence adapts rather than vanishes. That persistence reveals that the change is tied to you, not to circumstances. This kind of reaction often spreads beyond the greeting itself. His engagement throughout the interaction remains higher, his listening becomes more attentive, and his presence feels stronger. The initial energy shift sets the tone for everything that follows. It shows that your arrival is not neutral in his experience. It creates movement internally. What makes energy changes powerful is their authenticity. Words can be chosen carefully, but emotional energy leaks through behavior without permission. When a man's focus sharpens, his mood lifts, his awareness increases, and his responsiveness grows simply because you entered the room. That reaction reveals a connection forming beneath the surface, one that exists whether or not he has expressed it directly. A man who greets you warmly is emotionally invested because warmth is an emotional behavior, not a neutral one. Warmth carries intention, comfort, and openness. It is expressed through tone, facial expression, attention, and presence. When a man consistently greets you with warmth, he is showing that your presence creates a positive emotional response inside him. People naturally become warm toward what they value. Warm greetings feel different from polite greetings. Politeness is respectful but neutral, while warmth includes feeling. You can sense the difference in the way his voice softens, the way his expression changes, and the way he gives you a moment rather than passing quickly. That moment is important because time is one of the clearest forms of emotional investment. A man who slows down to greet you is choosing connection over routine. Warmth also reflects comfort. Emotional investment grows where comfort exists. When a man greets you warmly, it suggests he feels safe expressing positive emotion around you. Safety is not accidental. It develops through interest and repeated positive interactions. The greeting becomes a space where he can show that comfort without needing a formal conversation about his feelings. Another layer of emotional investment is eagerness. Warm greetings often include subtle excitement, a brighter tone, a quicker reaction, or a genuine smile that appears before words. Excitement indicates anticipation. Anticipation means he looks forward to seeing you, even if he has not consciously admitted it. That forward-looking emotion is a sign that your presence has meaning beyond the moment. Warmth also communicates appreciation. When someone greets you warmly, they are acknowledging that your presence adds value to their experience. Appreciation is a core part of emotional attachment because it reinforces positive association. Over time, the brain links that person with comfort, interest, or happiness. A man who repeatedly expresses warmth is reinforcing that association internally as well. Consistency in warmth deepens its meaning. A single warm greeting might be personality, but repeated warmth becomes personal. It shows that the emotional response is connected specifically to you rather than to everyone. Men may be friendly in general, but emotional investment creates differentiation. The warmth directed toward you begins to carry unique qualities, more attention, more presence, more patience. Warm greetings often include subtle care. Care appears in small adjustments, noticing your mood, matching your energy, or offering a gentle question instead of a quick acknowledgement. These behaviors signal that he is not only happy to see you, but attentive to how you are. Emotional investment always includes awareness because caring requires observation. There is vulnerability inside warmth as well. Expressing warmth exposes emotion even in small ways. Many men are cautious with visible emotion, especially early on, so repeated warmth suggests a willingness to open gradually. The greeting becomes a safe expression of feeling that does not require direct confession. It allows him to show interest while protecting himself from rejection. Warmth also creates connection momentum. Each positive greeting builds familiarity, and familiarity strengthens emotional bonds. Humans attach through repeated moments of positive interaction rather than single dramatic gestures. A man who greets you warmly is participating in that bonding process, whether consciously or unconsciously. The repetition slowly transforms recognition into connection. Another important element is presence within warmth. A warm greeting includes attention that feels focused rather than distracted. Even brief interactions can feel meaningful when presence is strong. Presence shows that he is not simply following social habit. He is experiencing the moment with you. That experience is the essence of emotional investment. Warm greetings often linger slightly longer than necessary. The pause, the extra sentence, the continued eye contact, these small extensions reveal reluctance to end the interaction quickly. Reluctance signals value. When someone values a moment, they stretch it. That stretching is subtle but consistent when emotional interest exists. Emotional investment is rarely announced at the beginning. Instead, it appears through repeated behaviors that feel natural and genuine. Warm greetings are one of the clearest early expressions because they combine attention, comfort, appreciation, and presence. When a man consistently shows warmth the moment he sees you, that behavior reflects feelings forming internally, feelings that are already influencing how he experiences every encounter with you.